Wait. You want an SF light guide in the wet and dry? Well, you're going to have to like and subscribe. That's all you have to do. Hello, you crafty little sausages. Welcome to the track guide of the SF Light at Road America. Good circuit. This is very, very fun. Now, with the weather system, I have had to do 2 sessions, one in the fixed dry and one in the fixed wet. And the reason it has to be fixed and I can't use like the weather system is because the rain will get progressively worse and then we'll end up on a different track. So what I've set it to is a moderate rain, and then we can distinguish between the two of how wet the circuit is in the actual racing week. I think that's the best way we're going to have to do it. So what I'm going to do is two breakdown laps. One of the dry that you're seeing now, and obviously one of the wet. Then you can see all the lovely puddles and my wet line, which is obviously different from the dry line because the dry line is dangerous. And in this lap, there is a big mistake. And one thing with the racing line, when you've got to cross it, you have to cross it in the wet. But when you cross it, be very, very careful. These cars, I've found Formula cars in the wet be very, very twitchy. GT cars are okay. LMP2s, I haven't driven the LMP2, but the GTPs seem to be very, very sketchy. I need to stress the GR86 still, but it's one of them things. The Formula cars seem to be very, you need to be very, very gentle. And when you do cross the racing lines, be ultra careful because it is like ice. Avoid all the curbs, but this is where I'll do a breakdown lap of the wet so you can see my racing line. You can see here taking a very different line from what we usually would, and of course avoiding the wonderful puddles. So these are the 2 weather settings I'm going to put up on screen. Both were using the fixed iRacing setup, apart from the only difference, one had dry tires and one had wet tires. That was the only difference. But yeah, I'm using fixed weather. I hope this is going to be good enough for, you know, learning the wet weather racing, because obviously we do have it in iRacing now. And I'm expecting a lot of carnage, to be brutally honest. I'm expecting carnage, shenanigans. If you can keep it on the tarmac in the wet and it rains in a race, you should be doing well. Otherwise, that's enough of me waffling. So let's crack on with the dry lap first of all. Right then, Road America in the SF. What a great little circuit this is, particularly on the fixed setup. Very, very fun. Anyway, we are hunting down for turn 1, and in a nutshell, we want to use a 1 cone. Yes, the 1 cone. We're braking that late in this thing. Brake and down 2 gears. I don't spend a lot of time in 4th, but I think you need it just for the better exit. And take loads of apex and minimize running this far wide. It bottoms out the car and I think ruins your apex. Maybe half a tenth through there. But anyway, coming downhill now, apparently through turn 2 for the braking zone in turn 3. Weird, I know. We're using the 1 marker again. So brake quite heavy, but be careful because it's downhill braking zone. We don't want to lock a brake because we need a good exit. 3rd gear, little tickle, little late apex as well. We don't want to run too far wide here on exit because there's a silly little off track if we even look at the grass funny down there. But anyway, get a good exit down here because it's a good run down in turn 5, because apparently that's like for 3A, and then this little kink here is 4. Weird corner names around here, but hey ho. Turn 5, here we are. 2 marker, we are braking in a straight line. You can run a little bit wide onto that curb if you want to, but it is bumpy, so be cautious. 2nd gear for this one, just tickle the curb on the way through, get on that throttle as early as you can. You can stamp it. It doesn't have too much power that you're going to spin out immediately, and be careful about running too far wide. You can use all the curb without any issue. Coming up the hill now, just as you go over the crest, you want to start braking nice and gentle because you're going over the crest. Car will get light. 3rd gear for this one. You want to take a little bit of apex and then easy on the power because you don't want to run too far wide again because there is a silly off track out there. Bring the car over to the left hand side now. This little kink is absolutely flat out, so don't bother about it. Just turn in nice and smooth, trying to minimize that steering angle, maximize that acceleration in technically an acceleration zone. Bring the car over to the right hand circuit now, and we're using these markers right here. Number 2, brake nice and heavy. Again, it's downhill, so brake heavy, but be careful about locking the tire because you will go straight into the gravel trap. Lots of apex curb. There's a nice little dink in there that gets a nice rotation, and again, use all the curb on exit. Bring the car back over to the left hand side now, and this is, you can take this flat out, but I think for tires, I don't know how tire wear is going to be a thing. I have a little slight lift, so you're chained up into 5th, a little bit of a lift around here, but if you get it right, you can take this absolutely flat out. It'd be interesting to see what the open setups do, but basically hug that white line as long as you can. Then when you get to the curbing, let the car drift naturally out to the curb out here. Watch the wet replay coming up because I have a big moment here and it's very, very scary. The kink is absolutely flat out in this thing. You probably get too wide through there without any issues, because look how minimal the steering angle is through there. Not a hint of understeer, just pure downforce and grip. Down this straight here with a few curves in it that have corner names again, obviously. Just try and minimize steering angle and end up on the left-hand side of the circuit here. We're using the 2 marker just before it, so we want to stand on the brakes again all the way up to 100%, ease it off again into the corner, take a little bit of curve. Don't cut it too much, there is an off track, but you can use all of this curve here on the exit as well on the left-hand side. Coming down to the 2 last corners now. This is absolutely flat out in the dry, so don't worry about it. Keep accelerating all the way through. Do not hit the apex curb. It's like a mountain and it will send you wide, so be cautious about that one. Bring the car over to the left-hand side now. We're braking quite late here, about the 2 marker, so just stand on the brakes for this one. You got to get a good exit because this is a fantastically long straight coming up and it's uphill, so the slipstream will be a thing. Little bit of curb. Do not run too far wide here because the curb is there to use, but you can run onto the grass as well and ruin your exit. Acceleration now. We haven't actually tested slipstream, so I'll have to do the first race of the week to see what slipstream's like, but yeah, you do need a good run out of here to try and defend. Anyway, that's us across the line and onto the wet. Now, wet weather time, and this is basically to show you where the puddles are, where the dips are, and try and what to do with the racing line. You've seen a few pros videos out there of saying basically stay off the racing line. It is like ice, and you will see moments of snap oversteer where I definitely do agree with that. So braking zone for turn 1 is the 4 cone. How much different is that? We're doing 150 miles an hour and braking, and see I slightly steer to the left hand side here. I go deep in quotation marks into the corner and avoid that massive puddle on apex. Look at the size of it, absolutely huge, and I'm trying to stay center of the circuit. You see there, that is me crossing the rubbered line, getting the snap oversteer. So it is dangerous when you're crossing the line, so be cautious about that one. But yeah, avoid the puddles on entry, apex and exit. Avoid them areas and you'll be fine. 2 marker for turn 3, sorry. Again, downhill braking zone. Look how much brake pressure we're using. Nice and gentle. And this one, I'm going slow enough that I can kind of get near the racing line, but I don't want to get too near it. And the reason why I don't want to get too near it is because I want to avoid this exit right here. It's bumpy over there on the curb and there's a giant puddle, and we will definitely spin if you do that. So I'm trying to hold the racing line through the apex and then get a sort of center of the track on exit. It's all about avoiding the issues and trying to maximize your grip. You see, I'm staying far left here off the racing line as best I can, and we're braking before the 3 cone in the wet. It's nuts. Downhill braking zone, so be cautious. Again, I'm aiming to the outside of the corner. Look, I'm crossing the racing line about now, and now I'm cracking on the steering to get around the corner. And again, I don't want to go out. See, there's a few puddles there I can go through. I'm going slow enough so it's safe, but again, I'm avoiding the puddle on exit and I'm avoiding the curbing. Middle of the circuit seems to be the safest place when coming out of corner exit. Before that first radical sign, again, going over the racing line and then turning in and missing the apex by a country mile. You see, I do get quite close to it there, and a little bit of snap and a big snap there. Very, very tricky corner that. Very, very easy to lose it, as I did a few times coming on exit as well. This one is another tricky corner in the wet. Who knows this would be a problem, but brake, go around, miss the apex, and at these speeds, I'm going to end up on the racing line and exit. So you see, I'm very, very ginger on throttle, and I'm not going full throttle until my wheels are in a straight line. I'm very, very ginger on the throttle. The more powerful cars you get, the more that's going to be a bigger thing. Braking zone just after the 3 marker. Again, downhill braking zone, nice and ginger. See, I'm turning to the outside of the corner again, and then I'm turning in once I cross that sort of imaginary racing line. You see, I go in there a little bit too quick and I get some forward drift going through, and that puts me on the race line on exit. Again, cautious through the puddles, half throttle, maybe 70% throttle, and then once I pass it, full throttle. Through the carousel now is very, very treacherous. All you want to be is on the right hand side, and I'm keeping a little bit of throttle in here just to maintain my speed. 100 mile an hour around here, I'm sort of okay with the steering angle. I'm feeling the grip. The rear end's a little bit twitchy. You see me adjusting the steering, but I'm not accelerating. I'm just keeping the car in control and in my own. So look at the size of the puddle on that curve. Avoid it like the plaid, and this is where I cross the racing line. Look, I get a massive snap, go wide, and I'm on the curb, and a massive snap again, and that's only at 40% throttle. So this is where you need to be super careful at the higher speeds. Avoid it like the plague. The kink, how difficult is the kink now? Right, brake is not too bad. Avoid the curb. Look at the size of that puddle again. Lovely reflections, by the way. And then be easy, because I'm coming out here on the racing line. I want to avoid the curb and the puddle. And puddle, I'll get that word right. I'm going to say it a lot. But anyway, coming through here, I'm just staying mid-circuit, being cautious, staying away from the racing line, and this is the important braking zone here. 4 marker, we are braking just after it, and there's a puddle right here that I want to straddle because I want to keep my tires on the dry stuff. Again, going out to the left hand side of the circuit and then turning in once across the line. Be cautious about going too fast in. You see a little bit of wiggle there, and again, watch out for that curb. I don't need to worry about too much of the racing line because the racing line is technically on the curb, so I can go all the way to the outside of the circuit. Again, puddle on the curbing, avoid it, go round it, and at this point we're using this tree here as our braking marker. Yes, a braking marker for this corner. Brake nice and easy. Again, turn in late and avoid the apex, and take it easy. You can get on sort of ish on throttle there quite early, but just be cautious about the rear end stepping out. Last corner, there is a tarmac change right there. Very hard to see, but it is there. So at the tarmac change, you're braking again. diagonal line across to the outside of the corner, missing the apex because it's got absolutely huge puddles there. Big snap of taking too much speed in. And then again, the racing line's on the curb, so I can avoid the curb and use a little bit of the track, but then rejoining into the middle of the circuit to try and find that beautiful, dirty, wetty, grippy line. And this is going to be the fun thing about the wet. You're going to have to go find the grip, and also the grip is going to be changing lap by lap by lap. I was in a session with myself basically and my partner in crime, Booty, and in a nutshell, we were half a circuit apart. You had a load of other crazy peeps in this, and it's going to be utter carnage. So stay safe out there. Make sure you see the checker flag. I'm sure you will do well. Right, and laps done and dusted. So thank you very, very much for tuning in and watching this. Please like and subscribe. This is taking a while to edit, and I'm hopefully going to get more and more efficient over the season going, but it is very, very interesting to try and throw this dynamic of wet weather in there. It is going to be interesting going into week 1 and finding out what actually happens in the races with the weather. Some might have rain, some might not have rain, some will have a lot of rain, some will have, you know, less rain. Who knows what's going to happen? But as long as you can keep it on there, keep it safe. If you're doing a race start, I am half tempted to start from the pits, because I think turn 1 in the wet is going to be utter carnage. Someone at the back is not going to brake. They're going to brake in their dry line. I think it's going to be hunky-dory, aren't they? Let's be honest. There's my big snap that you saw on the breakdown lap. Very, very sketchy holding on to that little rascal. Getting wide, getting on the racing line, getting on the curb, all of that scenario. Avoid that like the plague if it's raining. Otherwise, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all on the track.